For nearly 2 months in Colorado, vandals have sprayed graffiti on the Capitol building, broken windows, and damaged other property while demonstrating against police brutality and systemic racism. Well, the Centennial Institute at Colorado Christian University is urging the state's Governor Jared Polis to clean up the state capitol and protect Colorado's public institutions. The Centennial Institute even released a petition demanding that the governor put an end to the vandalism. Here to talk about this more is the director of the Centennial Institute at Colorado Christian University, Jeff Hunt. Thank you so much for joining us.
Stephanie, great to be with you. Thanks so much for having me on.
So this petition was launched on July 17th. How many signatures have you collected, and how many do you need to collect for action to be taken?
That's a good question. We shouldn't have to collect any, truly. For 2 months now, the governor has allowed vandalism to take place at our Capitol. And what we're seeing here in Denver is what we're seeing in places like Seattle, Portland, Chicago, New York City, where you have just an unprecedented amount of vandalism on our public institutions, and leadership in these cities are not stepping up to take care of it. And so in Colorado, we started a petition to try to urge our governor to do something. In fact, in 8 weeks of vandalism, they've only arrested one person. And so we've gathered over 1,200 signatures urging the governor to stop the vandalism, to arrest the perpetrators, to start to clean up our public institutions. These are the people's houses, and they shouldn't be left there to vandals for over 2 months. I mean, that's just crazy. If you own a business here in Denver and someone spray paints, you typically have 24, 48 hours to get that cleaned off. The fact that they've left this and let it sit there for over 2 months is just unacceptable. But like I mentioned, we're seeing this not only in Denver, but you're seeing it in Portland, you're seeing it in Chicago, New York City, Seattle, where they're just allowing lawlessness to take place.
And that's why President Trump, he launched Operation Legend. Now, it's interesting because you bring up the state leadership in Colorado, and even the state's former governor, Bill Owens, he slammed Governor Polis for his response, saying police should step up enforcement, and this is coming from a now private citizen. But it leads me to this question where Colorado Congressman Dave Williams, who is a Republican and represents Colorado Springs, penned a letter to President Trump days ago asking his administration to expand Operation Legend to include Colorado, specifically in Denver. What's your reaction to that request?
Well, I appreciate the request, and I'm glad that our state representative led on that issue. Here's the truth. We have not had conservative leadership in Denver in over 50 years. We've only had one Republican governor in over 40 years in the state of Colorado. And so this liberal domination of not only places like Colorado, but Seattle, Washington, Portland, Oregon, this is not an accident that this is happening. They're allowing lawlessness to take place. And so I applaud the president in many cases for stepping in, because the leaders of these cities are not putting the people first. They're putting politics first. They're recognizing that the people that are doing this damage are oftentimes constituents, voters for these liberal leaders. And so they won't step up. They won't stop this lawlessness. And I applaud the president for stepping in. At the end of the day, this is about politics for many of these leaders. They're not willing to lead in their communities. And as a result, these communities are becoming wastelands. If you look at what happened to Denver, we have a huge rising homelessness problem. We have violence in our streets. We have violence over last year, an increase in violent crimes taking place. We have drug use that's taking place in these communities, and these leaders won't step up. They won't try to stop this. I've often said we're going from Bedford Falls to Pottersville. If you've ever seen that film, It's a Wonderful Life, Denver used to be this wonderful community for your families. Now no family's going down to Denver as a result of the crime down there, as a result of the vandalism, as a result of the drug use. And these are liberal-dominated communities. This is not an accident. And we need to wake up and recognize what's happening in these cities and really encourage leaders to step up and get control of their communities.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.